Intermittent fasting. You've probably heard about it everywhere. From fitness influencers to medical researchers, from your coworker who skips breakfast to scientific journals publishing new studies every month. But here's the thing most people get wrong. They think fasting is just about not eating. Skip breakfast, skip lunch, lose weight. Simple, right? Not quite. There are rules to this. And when you understand these rules, you stop fighting your body and start working with it. Today we're going to break down the science behind intermittent fasting. What actually happens inside you when you stop eating? Why your body responds the way it does? And the specific guidelines that make fasting actually work. Whether you're completely new to this or you've been fasting for years, stick around. Some of what you'll learn might surprise you. Now, before we dive in, this is educational content, not medical advice. If you have any health conditions, especially diabetes, eating disorders, or if you're pregnant, talk to your doctor first. With that said, let's get into it. First, let's clear up what fasting actually means. Fasting is not starvation. Starvation is when your body has no choice. It's involuntary, prolonged, and dangerous. Fasting is a conscious decision to not eat for a specific period of time. And here's something you might not have thought about. You already fast every single day. Think about it. The word breakfast literally means to break your fast. Every night when you sleep, you're fasting. If you finish dinner at 8 p.m. and eat breakfast at 8 a.m., that's 12 hours of fasting. Your body does this naturally. The question is simply how long that fasting window lasts and what happens during that time. Here's the problem with how most people eat today. Studies show that many adults eat over a period of 15 hours or more each day. They wake up, have breakfast, snack mid-morning, eat lunch, have an afternoon snack, eat dinner, and then maybe have something while watching TV before bed. The eating never really stops. Why does this matter? Because of insulin. Let me explain this clearly. When you eat food, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin. Insulin is a hormone with a very important job. It takes that sugar from your blood and moves it into your cells, where it can be used for energy. Whatever your cells don't need right away gets stored. Some goes to your liver as glycogen. The rest gets converted into fat and stored in your fat cells. Now here's the key point. When insulin levels are high, your body is in storage mode. Fat stays locked inside your fat cells. You cannot effectively burn fat when insulin is elevated. It's like having a savings account that you can only deposit into but never withdraw from. When insulin levels drop, the opposite happens. Your body shifts into usage mode. Now it can access those fat stores and use them for energy. This is the fundamental principle behind why fasting works. You're giving your body enough time with low insulin to actually tap into stored fat. But how long does it take for this to happen? Let's walk through what occurs hour by hour when you stop eating. During the first 0 to 4 hours after your last meal, your body is busy digesting and absorbing nutrients. Blood sugar is elevated. Insulin is high. Your cells are taking in glucose and using it for immediate energy needs. Any excess is being stored. This is completely normal. This is what happens after every meal. From hours 4 to 8, things start to shift. The glucose from your meal has been used up or stored. Now your body turns to its backup supply. Your liver stores glucose in a form called glycogen. Think of it as your short-term energy reserve. During this phase, your liver releases glycogen to maintain stable blood sugar levels. Insulin begins to decline. You might start to feel a little hungry around this time. That's normal. Your body is simply signaling that the easy fuel is running low. Between hours 8 and 12, your liver's glycogen stores are getting depleted. insulin continues to drop. And something interesting begins to happen. Your body starts producing more growth hormone. This is important, so pay attention. Many people worry that fasting will cause them to lose muscle. They think if you don't eat, your body will start breaking down muscle for energy. But that's not what happens. Growth hormone increases significantly during fasting. Some studies show it can increase by as much as 5 times the normal level. Growth hormone does exactly what its name suggests. It helps preserve and build muscle tissue. It also promotes fat burning. This makes perfect sense from an evolutionary perspective. Our ancestors often went days between successful hunts. They needed to stay strong to find food. If their bodies burned muscle every time they got hungry, they would have become weaker and weaker. They would have died. Instead, the human body evolved to protect muscle during fasting and burn fat instead. Growth hormone is one of the key mechanisms that makes this possible. So no, fasting does not eat your muscle. Your body is smarter than that. Now we reach hours 12 to 16. This is where the real magic begins. By this point, your liver has used up most of its glycogen stores. Your body needs another fuel source. So it does something remarkable. It starts breaking down fat. Fat cells release fatty acids into your bloodstream. These fatty acids travel to your liver where they're converted into molecules called ketones. Ketones are an alternative fuel that your body and brain can use instead of glucose. This transition from burning glucose to burning fat and ketones is what scientists call the metabolic switch. When this switch flips, you're no longer running on sugar. You're running on your own stored body fat. This is why fasting is so effective for fat loss. You're literally using your fat stores as fuel. But there's another benefit that surprises many people. Ketones are actually an excellent fuel source for your brain. Many people report feeling more mentally clear and focused once they enter this fat-burning state. That's not imagination. There's real biochemistry behind it. Your brain typically uses a lot of glucose, but it can also use ketones very efficiently. Some research suggests ketones may even be a cleaner fuel for brain cells, producing less oxidative stress than glucose. This might explain why so many people experience improved concentration and mental clarity during fasting. Let's continue to hours 16 through 24 and beyond. This is where the deeper benefits start to emerge. First, let's talk about something called BDNF. That stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I know that sounds complicated, but the concept is simple. BDNF is a protein that your brain produces. It supports the survival of existing brain cells and encourages the growth of new neurons and new connections between them. Higher BDNF levels are associated with better learning, improved memory, and enhanced cognitive function. Research from Johns Hopkins University, led by neuroscientist Mark Mattson, has shown that fasting increases BDNF production. This is one of the scientific explanations for the mental clarity that fasters report. Your brain is literally producing more of the protein that helps it function better. Next, there's autophagy. This is one of the most fascinating processes in your body. The word autophagy comes from Greek and means self-eating. But don't let that scare you. It's actually a good thing. Here's what happens. Your cells accumulate damaged components over time. Broken proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, cellular debris. Normally, this junk builds up. But when you fast, your cells activate a cleanup process. They identify the damaged parts, break them down, and recycle the components into new functional parts. It's like your cells are doing a deep cleaning and renovation all at once. In 2016, Japanese scientist Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for discovering exactly how autophagy works. His research revealed the genes and mechanisms that control this cellular recycling system. This wasn't some fringe theory. This was Nobel Prize-winning science, confirming that our cells have built-in renewal mechanisms, and fasting is one of the most effective ways to activate them. Autophagy has been linked to longevity-reduced risk of neurodegenerative diseases and even cancer prevention. Your body has this incredible ability to clean and repair itself. Fasting helps unlock it. There's one more benefit at this stage worth mentioning. Inflammation. Chronic inflammation is connected to almost every major disease: heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis. When inflammation stays elevated for months or years, it damages tissues throughout your body. Research has shown that intermittent fasting can reduce inflammatory markers in the body. Studies have measured decreases in substances like C-reactive protein interleukin 6 and TNF-alpha, all indicators of inflammation. By giving your digestive system a break and triggering these repair mechanisms, fasting helps calm the inflammatory response. Quick question for you. If you've tried fasting before, at what hour do you usually start feeling that mental clarity kick in? Is it around hour 12, 16, 18? Drop your number in the comments. I'm curious to see if your experience matches what the research predicts. Now that you understand what's happening inside your body, let's talk about the rules that make fasting work safely and effectively. Rule number 1. Hydration is non-negotiable. When you're fasting, you're not eating, but you absolutely should be drinking. Water is essential. You can also have plain tea and black coffee. These have essentially 0 calories and won't break your fast. Here's why this matters so much. Many of the negative symptoms people experience during fasting, like headaches, fatigue, dizziness, and irritability, aren't actually from lack of food. They're from dehydration. When you eat less, you also take in less water from food. And when insulin drops, your kidneys excrete more sodium and water. If you don't compensate by drinking more, you'll feel terrible. Electrolytes become important too, especially for longer fasts. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium all play crucial roles in how your body functions. A pinch of salt in your water can make a significant difference in how you feel. Rule number 2. Learn to distinguish real hunger from habitual hunger. This is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Real hunger builds gradually. It's a physical sensation in your stomach, but it's not urgent. You feel like you could eat, but you could also wait another hour or two without any real problem. Habitual hunger is different. It often hits suddenly right around the times you normally eat. It can feel intense, almost urgent. You might feel irritable or distracted. But here's the interesting thing. If you wait 15 or 20 minutes, it often passes completely. That's because habitual hunger isn't really about your body needing food. It's about your body expecting food, because that's what you've trained it to expect. When you start fasting, you're retraining those expectations. The first week might be challenging, but most people find that hunger becomes much more manageable after their body adapts. Rule number 3. Break your fast properly. This is especially important for longer fasts. If you've been fasting for 20 hours or more, don't immediately eat a huge meal. Your digestive system has been resting. It needs time to wake back up. Start with something small and easy to digest. Maybe some bone broth, a few bites of protein, or some vegetables. Wait 20 to 30 minutes. Then eat more if you're still hungry. This gradual approach helps prevent the bloating, nausea, and discomfort that can happen when you overload a resting digestive system. For very extended fasts of multiple days, this becomes even more critical. There's something called refeeding syndrome, where eating too much too quickly after prolonged fasting can cause dangerous shifts in electrolytes. This is why extended fasting should always be approached carefully and ideally under medical supervision. Rule number 4. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to do long extreme fasts to get benefits. Regular moderate fasting is more sustainable and often more effective than occasional extreme fasting. Your body adapts over time. The first few times you fast, it might feel difficult. Your body isn't used to it. But if you maintain a consistent schedule, fasting becomes easier. Your hunger hormones adjust. Your metabolism adapts. What felt hard in week 1 feels natural by week 4. This is why starting small makes sense. If you've never fasted intentionally before, don't begin with a 24-hour fast. Start by simply extending your overnight fast by an hour or two. Push breakfast back. Have dinner a little earlier. Small changes add up. Rule number 5. What you eat still matters. Fasting is not a license to eat whatever you want during your eating window. The quality of your food affects your results significantly. If you break your fast with processed foods, sugar and refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar will spike, insulin will surge, and you'll find yourself hungry again much sooner. You'll also make your next fast harder because your body will be riding a blood sugar roller coaster. On the other hand, if you eat whole foods with adequate protein, healthy fats, and plenty of vegetables, you'll stay satisfied longer. Your insulin response will be more moderate, and your next fast will feel easier. Think of it this way. Fasting and nutrition work together. Good nutrition makes fasting easier. Fasting makes good nutrition more impactful. They amplify each other. Now let's talk about specific fasting methods and what makes each one unique. The 16-8 method is the most popular approach. You eat within an 8-hour window and fast for 16 hours. For example, you might eat between noon and 8 p.m., then fast until noon the next day. This means you're essentially skipping breakfast and having lunch as your first meal. This method works well for most people because it's relatively easy to maintain. You're sleeping through a big portion of the fast. You can still eat lunch and dinner with family or coworkers. For beginners, this is usually the best starting point. The 18-6 method takes it a step further. You eat within a 6-hour window and fast for 18 hours. This usually means 2 meals per day instead of 3. The longer fasting window gives your body more time in that fat-burning state and potentially more time for autophagy to work. If you've been doing 16-8 comfortably for a few weeks, 18-6 is a natural next step. Just make sure you're getting adequate nutrition in those 2 meals. OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. This is exactly what it sounds like. You eat all your daily food in a single meal, usually within about 1 hour, and fast for the remaining 23 hours. OMAD can be effective for people who have significant weight to lose or who have stubborn insulin resistance that hasn't responded to shorter fasting windows. However, it's not for beginners. And there's a real challenge with OMAD. You need to get all your daily nutrition in one meal. That means adequate protein, vitamins, minerals, and calories. If your one meal is just a regular-sized dinner, you'll likely end up undereating and missing important nutrients. If you want to try OMAD, work your way up to it gradually and pay careful attention to what you eat during that meal. Dry fasting is a more advanced and more controversial approach. During a dry fast, you don't eat and you don't drink anything, not even water. There are 2 types. Soft dry fasting means you avoid consuming liquids, but you might still shower or wash your face. Hard dry fasting means no contact with water at all. Some people believe dry fasting accelerates the benefits of regular fasting. The theory is that without incoming water, your body is forced to create metabolic water by breaking down fat more intensively. However, I need to be very clear about this. Dry fasting carries real risks. Dehydration can happen quickly and can be dangerous. If you have any kidney issues, heart problems, or other health conditions, dry fasting could be harmful. If you're interested in trying dry fasting, start with very short periods, 12 to 16 hours maximum. Do it on a day when you can rest and monitor how you feel. Never do extended dry fasts without medical supervision. And if you feel unwell, stop immediately and drink water. For most people, regular water fasting provides plenty of benefits without the additional risks of dry fasting. Let's talk about who should be careful with fasting. Pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers should not fast. Your body is supporting another life and needs consistent nutrition. People with a history of eating disorders should approach fasting very cautiously, if at all. Fasting can potentially trigger restrictive patterns or unhealthy relationships with food. If this applies to you, please work with a healthcare professional. If you have type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes and use insulin, fasting affects your blood sugar significantly. You need medical guidance to adjust your medication appropriately. Fasting without adjusting insulin can lead to dangerous blood sugar swings. Children and teenagers who are still growing should not do extended fasting. Their bodies need regular nutrition for proper development. People who are underweight or malnourished should not fast. You need to build up your nutritional reserves, not deplete them further. And anyone taking medications that require food should consult their doctor before fasting. Your body is intelligent. It will tell you when something is wrong. Mild hunger is normal, especially when you're first adapting. But severe symptoms are not. If you experience dizziness that doesn't pass, heart palpitations, confusion, persistent weakness, or vomiting, stop fasting immediately and eat something. These are signs your body needs fuel right now. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Why does fasting work so well? Why does the human body have all these mechanisms like autophagy, ketone production, and growth hormone increases? The answer lies in our evolutionary history. For most of human existence, food was not guaranteed. Our ancestors didn't have refrigerators, supermarkets, or delivery apps. They were hunters and gatherers who sometimes went days between successful hunts. Food came in irregular cycles of abundance and scarcity. The humans who survived and passed on their genes were those whose bodies functioned well during scarcity. They needed to stay mentally sharp to find food while hungry. They needed to preserve muscle strength to hunt successfully. They needed cellular repair mechanisms to stay healthy despite the stress. Every adaptation we've discussed, the metabolic switch, the rise in growth hormone, the increase in BDNF, the activation of autophagy, these aren't random. They're survival mechanisms that evolved over millions of years. When you fast, you're not doing something strange to your body. You're returning it to the conditions it was designed for. This isn't just theory. Modern science continues to validate these benefits. In October 2024, researchers at the Salk Institute and UC San Diego published results from a clinical trial. They studied people with metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, and excess abdominal fat. Participants who practiced time-restricted eating within an 8 to 10 hour window for just 3 months, showed measurable improvements in blood sugar regulation and metabolic function. Even people already on standard medications saw additional benefits from simply timing their meals differently. The science is catching up to what our ancestors knew instinctively. There's profound value in not eating all the time. Now here's something to think about. Some health experts say you should never regularly fast beyond 16 hours. They worry about potential downsides like muscle loss or metabolic slowdown. Others point to research showing that deeper benefits like significant autophagy really require 24 hours or more. The truth is, it probably depends on your individual body, your health status, your goals, and how well you're nourishing yourself during eating windows. What do you think? Are you team 16, 8, or do you go longer? Let me know in the comments. So what have we learned today? Intermittent fasting isn't about starving yourself. It's about giving your body the time it needs to switch fuel sources, activate repair mechanisms, and function the way it evolved to function. The rules are straightforward. Stay hydrated, listen to your body, break your fast properly, be consistent, and remember that what you eat still matters. Start where you are. If you're new to this, begin with 12 or 14 hours and work your way up. Your body will adapt. What feels challenging in the first week will feel natural within a month. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who's been curious about fasting but doesn't know where to start, or someone who still thinks fasting is just starving yourself. The science might change their perspective. Make sure you subscribe if you want to understand more about how your body really works. We go deep into the science here, and there's much more to explore. Remember, you're not fighting your body, you're unlocking it. Thanks for watching. You have been fasting for a few hours now. Your stomach is growling. You feel a little tired, maybe a bit lightheaded. And you are asking yourself, is this actually working? Here is what most people do not realize. Those uncomfortable feelings you are experiencing right now might actually be proof that your fast is working exactly as it should. Today, we are going to explore the signs that show your fasting is doing what it is supposed to do, even when you feel like it is not. Before we begin, this is educational content, not medical advice. If you have any health conditions, please consult your doctor before fasting. Now let me introduce you to someone who has spent 25 years studying exactly what happens inside your body when you stop eating. Dr. Mark Mattson is a neuroscientist at Johns Hopkins University. He was also the chief of the Laboratory of Neurosciences at the National Institute on Aging. The National Institutes of Health considers him one of the world's top experts on the potential health benefits of intermittent fasting. In 2019, Dr. Mattson published a groundbreaking paper in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. In that paper, he explained a concept he calls the metabolic switch. Here is what it means. When you eat, your body uses sugar from food for energy. Your liver also stores some sugar for later, kind of like a backup battery. But that backup only lasts about 10 to 12 hours. After that, your body has to find another fuel source. So it starts burning fat instead. And when your body burns fat, it produces molecules called ketones. This shift from burning sugar to burning fat is the metabolic switch. And here is the key point. Almost every symptom you experience during fasting is connected to this switch. Dr. Mattson himself has been practicing intermittent fasting since 1980. That was before anyone even called it intermittent fasting. He noticed that when he skipped breakfast, he felt more alert and had more energy, so he started researching why. What he found over 25 years of study changed how scientists understand human metabolism. He discovered that the human body is actually designed to perform well in a fasted state. Our ancestors did not have refrigerators or grocery stores. They often went many hours, sometimes days between meals. If fasting made them weak and confused, they would have died out long ago. Instead, the human body evolved to become sharper and more efficient when food is scarce. The symptoms you feel during fasting are part of this ancient survival system switching on. So let us go through the signs one by one. The first sign is that your hunger comes and goes in waves. You might expect hunger to keep increasing the longer you fast, but that is not what happens. Instead, you feel intense hunger at certain times, and then it fades away, even though you still have not eaten. Why does this happen? Your stomach produces a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is often called the hunger hormone because it signals your brain that it is time to eat. But here is what most people do not know. Ghrelin does not increase continuously the longer you fast. It rises at the times you usually eat. If you normally have lunch at noon, ghrelin spikes around noon. If you usually have dinner at 7, ghrelin spikes around 7. But after each spike, it goes back down even if you do not eat. Research tracking ghrelin levels over 33 hours of fasting found something interesting. Ghrelin was actually lowest around 9 in the morning, even though that was after 14 hours without food. Hunger is not a straight line going up. It comes in waves. So if your hunger comes and goes instead of constantly increasing, that is a sign your body is working normally. The hunger will pass. One important note here: normal hunger is different from severe dizziness or shaking. If you feel like you cannot function or you are dizzy for more than 30 minutes, break your fast gently. Listen to your body. The second sign is a metallic or fruity taste in your breath. This one might seem strange, but it is actually one of the clearest signs that your fast is working. When your body starts burning fat, your liver converts that fat into ketones. There are three main types of ketones, and one of them is called acetone. Acetone gets released through your breath. That is what creates that unusual metallic or slightly fruity smell. This is direct evidence that you have crossed the metabolic switch. Your body is no longer running on sugar, it is running on fat. Dr. Matson explains that most Americans eat 3 meals a day plus snacks. With that eating pattern, they never go long enough without food to flip the switch. Their bodies stay in sugar-burning mode all the time. But when you fast long enough, you flip the switch. And that breath is proof. This symptom usually decreases after a few days as your body adapts. Drinking plenty of water can help reduce it. But do not try to cover it up with sugary gum or mints. Those can break your fast. So the next time you notice your breath smells different during a fast, remember what it means. Your body is telling you it is burning fat. The third sign is feeling cold. Your hands and feet might feel cold. You might want to put on an extra layer of clothing. This can be unsettling, but it is actually a sign of adaptation. Here is what is happening inside your body. When you eat, your body generates heat while digesting food. This is called the thermic effect of food. When you are not eating, there is no food to digest, so this heat source decreases. Also, when you fast, your insulin levels drop. Low insulin signals your body to conserve energy. Part of that conservation means reducing heat production. Your body also redirects blood flow. Instead of sending blood to your hands and feet, it prioritizes your vital organs like your heart, liver, and brain. Your fingers and toes might get cold, but your essential organs stay well supplied. Think about this from an evolutionary perspective. Our ancestors often went days between successful hunts. When food was scarce, their bodies automatically shifted into energy-saving mode. Blood was directed to the organs that mattered most for survival. This kept them alive long enough to find the next meal. So feeling cold during a fast means your body has recognized that you are not eating and is adjusting accordingly. The system is working. To stay comfortable, wear warm clothing, drink warm water or unsweetened tea, and light movement, like walking, can help improve circulation. The fourth sign is initial fatigue, followed by stable energy. In the first hours or first day of fasting, you might feel tired, sluggish, or low on energy. But if you push through, something interesting happens. Your energy becomes more stable. No more afternoon crashes. No more feeling sleepy after meals. What is going on? When you eat carbohydrates or sugar, your blood sugar rises quickly, then falls quickly. This creates energy spikes and crashes throughout the day. You feel energized after eating, then tired a few hours later. When you fast long enough, your body switches to burning fat and producing ketones. Ketones provide a steadier energy supply. No sharp peaks, no deep valleys, just consistent fuel. The initial fatigue is your body going through the transition. Some people call this the keto flu, but it is really just sugar withdrawal. Your body has been running on sugar for years. Switching to a different fuel source takes some adjustment. There is another important change happening during this time. Your body increases production of growth hormone. Research shows that growth hormone can increase by 3 to 5 times during fasting. Some studies have found even higher increases. Why does this matter? Growth hormone helps protect your muscles from being broken down. Many people worry that fasting will cause them to lose muscle, but the increase in growth hormone is your body's way of preserving muscle while burning fat instead. A study published in the journal Diabetes found that growth hormone during fasting actually inhibits muscle protein breakdown. When researchers blocked growth hormone in fasting subjects, muscle breakdown increased by 50%. But with normal growth hormone levels, muscles were protected. So the combination of ketones for stable energy and growth hormone for muscle protection means your body is not just surviving the fast, it is optimizing itself. According to Dr. Matson's research, most people need about 2 to 4 weeks to fully adapt to intermittent fasting. After that adjustment period, most people report feeling better than before. So if you have pushed through the initial tiredness and now your energy feels more, even throughout the day, that is a sign your body has learned to use fat as fuel effectively. One thing to note, mild fatigue is normal. But if you feel so exhausted that you cannot do normal activities, you might need to add some electrolytes or consider breaking your fast. There is a difference between adaptation and pushing too hard. The fifth sign is brain fog, followed by mental clarity. In the beginning, you might have trouble concentrating. Your thoughts feel slow, like there is fog in your head. But after some time, many people report the opposite. They feel sharper, more focused, and think more clearly than usual. Here is the science behind this. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy. Normally, it runs on sugar. But when you fast and start producing ketones, those ketones can cross into your brain and provide energy to your neurons. Ketones give your brain a steady fuel supply. Unlike sugar, which causes ups and downs, ketones burn more evenly. This can lead to clearer thinking. But there is more. Fasting also increases the production of something called BDNF. That stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. In simple terms, BDNF is a protein that helps keep your brain cells healthy and supports the creation of new connections between neurons. When BDNF increases, learning and memory can improve. Dr. Matson offers an evolutionary explanation for this. Our ancestors needed their brains to work at peak performance when they were hungry. If hunger made them foggy and confused, they would not have been able to find food and survive. So the human body evolved to make the brain sharper during periods without food. If you have experienced that shift from brain fog to mental clarity, that is one of the clearest signs that your body has successfully made the metabolic switch. Your brain is running on the fuel your ancestors used to survive. The sixth sign is actually feeling less hungry after 24 hours. This sounds counterintuitive. You would expect to feel more hungry the longer you go without food. But many people report the opposite. After about 24 hours, the hunger actually decreases. Why? First, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, actually drops after the first day. Your body stops expecting food at the usual times. Second, once ketone levels stabilize, they have an appetite suppressing effect. Your body is getting steady energy from fat stores, so it does not send as many hunger signals. Third, without the blood sugar spikes and crashes from eating, you do not get those sudden urges to eat. Research confirms this. Ghrelin peaks at expected meal times, but after 24 hours, it starts to decline. Hunger is not linear. It does not just keep going up. So if you notice that your hunger has actually decreased after pushing through the first day, that is a strong sign your body has made the switch and is efficiently using stored fat for fuel. The seventh sign is temporary skin breakouts. Some people notice pimples or minor rashes in the first days of fasting. This can be alarming, but it is usually temporary. Here is what might be happening. When your body burns stored fat, some compounds that were stored in that fat get released into your bloodstream. Your liver is the main organ that processes these compounds. But if your liver is busy, your skin can act as a secondary exit route. There is also another process at work during extended fasting. It is called autophagy. This word comes from Greek and literally means self-eating. But it is not as scary as it sounds. Autophagy is your body's way of cleaning house at the cellular level. When you fast long enough, your cells start breaking down old damaged parts and recycling them into new components. Think of it as your cells taking out the trash and reusing what they can. This cleanup process typically increases significantly after 24 to 48 hours of fasting. As your cells clear out damaged components, some of this cellular debris needs to be processed and eliminated. Your liver handles most of it, but your skin can help. So temporary breakouts might actually be a sign that your body is doing deep cleaning at the cellular level. Things sometimes look messier in the middle of cleaning before they look better. This symptom usually goes away after a few days or weeks as your body adjusts. Not everyone experiences this, but if you do, it may be a sign that your body is actively clearing things out. If breakouts are severe or last a long time, consult a healthcare professional. The eighth sign is mood changes. You might feel irritable, restless, or emotionally sensitive during fasting. This is common, especially in the beginning. Here is what is happening inside. When you fast cortisol, your stress hormone increases slightly. This is a normal response. Your body views fasting as a mild challenge and prepares accordingly. Norepinephrine also increases. This hormone makes you more alert and focused, but it can also make you more reactive. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes sense. When our ancestors had no food, their bodies released these hormones to keep them alert and ready to act. They needed to be sharp enough to find their next meal. So if you feel a bit on edge during your fast, it is not necessarily a bad sign. It means your nervous system is responding the way it was designed to. Deep breathing, light walking, or meditation can help balance your mood during this time. And this symptom usually decreases as your body adapts to fasting. Now let us bring it all together. The signs we have discussed today: hunger that comes in waves, unusual breath, feeling cold, initial fatigue, followed by stable energy, brain fog turning into mental clarity, decreased hunger after 24 hours, temporary skin changes, and mood shifts. These are all evidence that your body is making the metabolic switch. Dr. Matson has been practicing intermittent fasting since 1980, long before it had a name. He has studied it for 25 years. According to his research, these symptoms show that your body is activating survival programs that humans have used for millions of years. Here is what I want you to remember. The next time you feel hungry, cold, or tired during a fast, do not assume something is wrong. Those feelings might actually be signs that something is right. Your body is not failing. It is adapting. It is switching fuel sources. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Of course, always listen to your body. If symptoms are severe or do not pass, break your fast and consult a doctor. Fasting should challenge you, not harm you. But for most people, these uncomfortable feelings in the beginning are just part of the transition. Push through them wisely, and you may discover a level of energy and mental clarity you did not know was possible. Which of these signs have you experienced during fasting? Share in the comments below. I would love to hear about your experience. If this video helped you understand what is happening inside your body, share it with someone who is considering fasting or who might have given up because they felt bad at first. They need to see what was actually going on. Subscribe to this channel to explore more about the science behind what your body is truly capable of. In our next video, we will explore what happens when you break your fast and why how you eat might matter even more than how long you fasted. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Imagine you have been doing intermittent fasting for weeks, maybe even months. You skip breakfast every day. You wait patiently until your eating window opens. You follow all the rules you have heard about. You have been disciplined. You have been consistent. But when you step on the scale, the number goes up instead of down. This is frustrating. This feels unfair. And you start wondering if something is wrong with your body. You have probably asked yourself these questions. Is my metabolism broken? Does intermittent fasting just not work for me? Am I doing something wrong that nobody told me about? Here is the truth. Your body is not broken. You are not a special case where the rules do not apply. But there are specific mistakes that can turn intermittent fasting from a fat-burning tool into a fat-storing trap. These mistakes are common. They are easy to make without realizing it. And most people have no idea they are making them. Before we continue, this is educational content, not medical advice. If you have any health conditions, please talk to your doctor before changing your eating patterns. In this video, we are going to break down exactly what these mistakes are, why they cause weight gain, and how you can fix them. Let us start with the first one. The first mistake is doing the same fasting schedule every single day without any variation. When you first start intermittent fasting, it works. You lose weight. You feel good. So you keep doing the exact same thing. 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating, every single day, week after week, month after month. But here is what happens inside your body. Your body is incredibly good at adapting to predictable patterns. When you reduce your calorie intake consistently for a long period, your body notices. It thinks food has become scarce, so it starts making adjustments to protect you. Your metabolism begins to slow down. Not dramatically at first, but gradually. Research shows that after losing about 10% of your body weight, your total daily energy expenditure can drop by around 15%. That is more than what you would expect just from weighing less. Your body is actively burning fewer calories to conserve energy. This is called metabolic adaptation. It is not your body working against you. It is your body trying to keep you alive during what it perceives as a food shortage. The problem is you are not actually starving. You are just trying to lose weight. Your body cannot tell the difference between intentional dieting and actual famine. It responds to both the same way. This adaptation can happen surprisingly fast. Some research suggests metabolic adjustments can begin within just 2 weeks of consistent calorie restriction. Your body is constantly monitoring energy intake and making adjustments to match. When your metabolism slows down enough, the calorie deficit you created at the beginning disappears. You are now eating at maintenance level without realizing it. Weight loss stops. And if you eat just a little bit more, weight gain begins. The solution is variation. Your ancestors did not eat on a predictable schedule. Some days they found food early. Some days they went longer without eating. Some days they feasted. This unpredictability kept their metabolism flexible. You need to do the same. Mix up your fasting windows. Do 16 hours one day, maybe 20 hours another day, and then have a day where you eat normally. Keep your body guessing. The second mistake is choosing the wrong eating window. Most people pick their eating window based on convenience. They skip breakfast because they are busy in the morning. They eat from noon to 8 in the evening because it fits their work schedule. This seems logical, but your body does not care about your schedule. It operates on its own internal clock. Your body's ability to process food changes throughout the day. This is controlled by your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour clock that regulates nearly every function in your body. In the morning, your cells are most sensitive to insulin. This means your body handles glucose efficiently. It can use the energy from food without storing much as fat. As the day goes on, this sensitivity decreases. By evening, your body is much less efficient at processing the same food. Your pancreas has to work harder. Your blood sugar stays elevated longer. More of what you eat gets stored as fat. A large study published in Nature Communications followed over 100,000 adults and tracked when they ate their first and last meals. The results were striking. People who ate their first meal after 9 in the morning and their last meal after 9 at night had significantly higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who ate earlier. This was not about how much they ate or what they ate. It was purely about when they ate. What does this mean for you? The same 500 calories consumed at 7 in the morning will be processed differently than 500 calories consumed at 8 in the evening. Eating later in the day is associated with higher blood sugar spikes, more fat storage, and worse metabolic outcomes. If you have been fasting until noon and eating until 8 at night, consider shifting your window earlier. Eating from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon may produce better results than eating from noon to 8, even with the exact same foods and portions. The third mistake is breaking your fast with the wrong foods. After 16 or more hours without eating your first meal matters more than any other meal of the day. Your body has been in a fasted state. It has been burning fat for fuel and preserving glucose for your brain. When you suddenly eat, everything changes. Here is what happens. During fasting, your muscles develop a temporary state where they prefer to burn fat instead of glucose. This is actually a good thing. It spares glucose for your brain. But when you break your fast with a large amount of carbohydrates, like bread, pasta, rice, or sugary foods, you flood your system with glucose all at once. Your blood sugar spikes rapidly. Your pancreas releases a large amount of insulin to bring it back down. High insulin signals your body to store energy. And because you have been fasting, your body is primed to absorb nutrients more efficiently than usual. This efficiency is great if you eat protein and vegetables. It works against you if you eat processed carbs and sugar. Many people break their fast with toast, cereal, fruit juice, or pastries. These foods cause exactly the blood sugar roller coaster you want to avoid. The spike is followed by a crash. The crash makes you hungry again within just a few hours. You eat more. And the cycle continues throughout your eating window. Instead, break your fast with protein first. Eggs, fish, chicken, Greek yogurt, or legumes are all good choices. Add some vegetables or a small salad. Wait 20 to 30 minutes before adding any carbohydrates. This approach keeps your blood sugar stable, helps you feel satisfied longer, and prevents the hunger that leads to overeating later in the day. The order in which you eat foods matters more than most people realize. The fourth mistake is eating too much during your eating window. This one sounds obvious, but it trips up more people than you might think. The logic goes like this. I have been fasting for 16 hours. I have earned the right to eat whatever I want now. My body needs to catch up. This thinking completely misses the point of intermittent fasting. Fasting creates an opportunity for calorie reduction. It does not guarantee it. If you consume 2,500 calories in 8 hours instead of 2,000 calories spread over 12 hours, you have not created any deficit. You might have even created a surplus. Here is the biological reality. Fasting increases a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is what makes you feel hungry. By the time your eating window opens, ghrelin levels are elevated. Your brain is receiving strong signals to eat. And not just to eat, but to eat a lot. Research has shown that people who fast have significantly higher rates of overeating compared to those who eat regular meals. One study found that people who reported fasting also reported binge eating episodes at rates more than double those who did not fast. This is not a character flaw. This is biology. Your body wants to compensate for the period of restriction. The solution is awareness. Plan your meals before your eating window opens. Know what you are going to eat and approximately how much. Do not let elevated hunger hormones make your decisions for you. Intermittent fasting changes when you eat. It does not change how much you need to eat to lose weight. The fifth mistake is not getting enough sleep. You might be doing everything right with your fasting schedule and food choices, but if you are only sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night, you are sabotaging your results. Sleep deprivation changes your hormones in ways that promote weight gain. This happens even after just one night of poor sleep, and the effects compound over time. When you do not sleep enough, your body produces more ghrelin, the hunger hormone. At the same time, it produces less leptin, the hormone that tells you when you are full. A landmark study published in PLOS Medicine followed over 1,000 people as part of the Wisconsin Sleep Cohort study. The researchers measured sleep duration and hormone levels over many years. They found that those who slept less had ghrelin levels about 15% higher and leptin levels about 16% lower than those who slept adequately. The researchers called this a powerful dual stimulus for overeating. Both your hunger signal is turned up and your fullness signal is turned down at the same time. Think about what this means. You wake up after a short night of sleep. Your hunger signals are stronger than normal. Your fullness signals are weaker than normal. You feel like you need to eat more to feel satisfied. And no amount of willpower can completely override these hormonal changes. But it gets worse. Sleep deprivation also raises cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol promotes fat storage, particularly around your midsection. This visceral fat, the fat around your organs, is the most dangerous type for your health. If you are fasting perfectly, but only sleeping 5 hours, you are fighting an uphill battle. Your hormones are working against you. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. This is not optional. This is essential for any weight loss strategy to work. The sixth mistake is chronic stress. Modern life is stressful. Work deadlines, financial worries, family responsibilities, traffic, news, social media. Your body experiences all of this as threat, and it responds accordingly. When you are stressed, your adrenal glands release cortisol. In short bursts, this is useful. It gives you energy to deal with immediate problems. But when stress is constant, cortisol stays elevated for long periods. This creates several problems for weight loss. First, cortisol increases your appetite, especially for high-calorie foods. Your body thinks you need extra energy to deal with the perceived threat. Second, cortisol promotes fat storage in your abdominal area. Research has shown that people with higher baseline cortisol levels tend to gain more weight over time, particularly around their midsection. Third, cortisol can interfere with sleep, which creates its own set of problems, as we just discussed. Here is something important to understand. Fasting itself is a mild stressor on your body. In small doses, this stress is beneficial. It triggers cellular repair processes and metabolic improvements. But when you combine fasting with work stress, relationship stress, financial stress, and poor sleep, the total stress load can become too much. Instead of burning fat, your body goes into protection mode. It holds on to energy reserves because it perceives that you are under threat. If you are experiencing high stress, intense fasting may not be the best approach right now. Consider shorter fasting windows. Focus on stress reduction techniques. Exercise moderately instead of intensely. Sometimes doing less creates better results than pushing harder. Now there is something important we need to discuss. Intermittent fasting can be a powerful tool for many people, but it is not appropriate for everyone. If you have diabetes, fasting directly affects your blood sugar levels. If you take insulin or other medications that lower blood sugar, fasting without proper adjustment can cause dangerous drops in glucose. This does not mean you cannot fast. It means you need to work closely with your doctor to adjust your medications and monitor your levels carefully. If you have fatty liver disease, your liver plays a central role in fasting metabolism. It produces ketones and regulates blood sugar when you are not eating. A liver that is already stressed may not handle these demands efficiently. Some research suggests fasting may actually benefit fatty liver, but this should be done under medical supervision. If you have kidney disease, your kidneys filter waste products that increase when your body burns fat for fuel. If your kidney function is already compromised, this additional workload may be problematic. Talk to your nephrologist before starting any fasting protocol. If you have a history of eating disorders, fasting can trigger or worsen unhealthy eating patterns. Research shows that fasting is associated with increased risk of binge eating and compensatory behaviors. If you have struggled with anorexia, bulimia, or binge eating disorder, intermittent fasting may not be safe for you. Your relationship with food needs to be healthy before you start restricting when you eat. If you are undergoing cancer treatment, your body needs consistent nutrition to heal and recover. Fasting during chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, recovery may not be appropriate. Some research is exploring fasting around cancer treatment, but this is experimental and should only be done under oncologist supervision. This is not meant to scare you. This is meant to help you make informed decisions. If you fall into any of these categories, have a conversation with your healthcare provider before starting or modifying any fasting routine. With proper guidance, many people in these situations can still benefit from fasting safely. So let us bring this all together. Intermittent fasting works. The science supports it. Millions of people have used it successfully to lose weight and improve their health. But like any tool, it only works when you use it correctly. A hammer is useless if you swing it at the wrong angle. Fasting is the same way. The technique matters as much as the commitment. If you have been fasting and gaining weight, you are not alone. These mistakes are incredibly common. Even people who have been fasting for years sometimes fall into these traps without realizing it. The good news is that now you understand what is happening. You know why your body responds the way it does. and you can make adjustments based on actual science, not guesswork. Here is what to remember. Vary your fasting schedule so your metabolism stays flexible and does not adapt to a predictable pattern. Choose an earlier eating window when your body processes food most efficiently according to your circadian rhythm. Break your fast with protein and vegetables, not processed carbs that spike your blood sugar. Control your portions during your eating window because fasting does not give you permission to overeat. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night because your hunger hormones depend on it. And manage your stress levels because chronic stress undermines everything else you are trying to accomplish. Your body is not fighting against you. It is trying to protect you. Once you understand how it works, you can work with it instead of against it. That is when real lasting results happen. Which of these mistakes have you been making? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one. And if you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who has been struggling with their fasting results. Sometimes one piece of information can change everything. Subscribe if you want to understand more about how your body actually works. In the next video, we will explore exactly what happens inside your body during the first 24 hours of fasting and why some people feel amazing while others feel exhausted. Until then, take care of yourself. Your body is more capable than you realize. You just need to give it the right signals. Millions of people have tried intermittent fasting and experienced incredible results. Millions more are curious, but still hesitating. They think it's going to be hard. They worry about feeling hungry all day. They're not sure if it's safe or natural. Today, we're going to talk about how to make intermittent fasting easy and, more importantly, why it actually works inside your body. Because once you understand what's really happening, everything becomes much simpler. This is educational content, not medical advice. If you have any health conditions, please talk to your doctor before starting any fasting protocol. Let's start with the most important question. Why does fasting work? Your body has two main fuel sources. It can burn glucose, which comes from the carbohydrates you eat, or it can burn fat, breaking it down into molecules called ketones. Most people who eat 3 meals a day, plus snacks, are running almost entirely on glucose. Their bodies rarely get the chance to tap into their fat stores. Here's why. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates, your body releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to move glucose out of your blood and into your cells, where it can be used for energy. But insulin also does something else. It tells your fat cells to hold on to their stored fat. As long as insulin levels stay high, your body keeps burning glucose and your fat stays locked away. When you stop eating for several hours, insulin levels start to drop. And when insulin drops low enough, something important happens. Your fat cells finally get the signal that it's okay to release their stored energy. Your liver starts converting that fat into ketones, and your body switches from burning glucose to burning fat. This is often called the metabolic switch. For most people, it happens somewhere between 12 and 16 hours after their last meal. This is the point where fasting really starts to work. Your body is no longer just waiting for the next meal. It's actively using your stored fat for fuel. But there's more to this story. When your body produces ketones, your brain can use them as fuel. And here's something fascinating. Ketones actually provide a very stable, efficient energy source for your brain. Unlike glucose, which can cause energy spikes and crashes, ketones deliver steady fuel. This is why many people report feeling mentally clearer and more focused when they're fasting. It's not imagination, it's chemistry. Research has also shown that fasting can increase the production of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor or BDNF. This is a protein that supports the health of your brain cells and helps create new neural connections. In simple terms, fasting may actually be good for your brain. Now you might be wondering, why would our bodies be designed to work this way? The answer lies in human history. For most of our existence as a species, we didn't have refrigerators. We didn't have grocery stores open 24 hours. We didn't have breakfast cereal waiting for us every morning. Our ancestors often went days between successful hunts. They needed to stay sharp alert and physically capable even when they hadn't eaten for a while. Think about it. If our ancestors became weak, foggy, and unable to function whenever they missed a meal, they would never have been able to hunt for the next one. Evolution doesn't reward that kind of design. Instead, the human body developed systems to actually perform better during short-term food scarcity. The ones who could function well during periods without food were the ones who survived. They passed on their genes. Your body carries that same programming. When you fast, you're not doing something strange or extreme. You're actually returning to a state that your body was designed to handle. Fasting isn't starving yourself. It's giving your body permission to work the way it evolved to work. And this brings us to something that stops most people before they even start: the fear of hunger. Most people who have never skipped a meal assume that hunger just keeps building and building. They think if they don't eat, they'll feel worse and worse until they can't stand it anymore. But that's not how hunger actually works. There's a hormone called ghrelin. It's produced mainly in your stomach, and it's often called the hunger hormone because it sends signals to your brain saying it's time to eat. But here's what most people don't realize. Ghrelin doesn't rise in a straight line. It comes in waves. Your body has learned to release ghrelin at the times you normally eat. If you always have breakfast at 7 in the morning, your body will release ghrelin around 7 in the morning. If you always eat lunch at noon, you'll feel hungry around noon. This isn't because your body desperately needs food at those exact times. It's because your body has learned a pattern. Here's the important part. If you don't eat when ghrelin rises, it doesn't keep rising forever. Studies have shown that ghrelin typically peaks and then falls on its own within about 1 to 2 hours. One study on time-restricted eating found that ghrelin levels dropped by an average of 32 picograms per milliliter in participants who practiced early time-restricted feeding. The hunger came, and then it went away, even though they didn't eat. This means hunger comes in waves, not as a rising tide. If you can ride out that wave for an hour or two, it will pass. Drink some water, have some tea, stay busy with work or activities, and before you know it, the hunger has faded. There's another hormone involved in this system called leptin. Leptin is sometimes called the satiety hormone because it tells your brain when you've had enough to eat. When leptin is working properly, you feel satisfied after a meal and you don't feel the need to keep eating. But here's the problem. When insulin levels are chronically high, which happens when you eat frequently throughout the day, insulin can block leptin's signal. Your brain doesn't get the message that you're full, so you keep eating even when your body doesn't need more fuel. Fasting helps fix this. When you give your body a break from constant eating, insulin levels drop. When insulin drops, leptin can do its job properly again. Many people find that after practicing intermittent fasting for a while, they feel more satisfied with less food. They're not fighting constant cravings anymore. And here's something encouraging. Your body adapts. After you've been practicing intermittent fasting for a few days or weeks, your body learns the new pattern. It stops releasing ghrelin at your old meal times. The hunger waves become smaller and less frequent. What felt difficult in the first week becomes much easier by the third or fourth week. Here's a question for the comments. Have you ever noticed that when you skip breakfast, you're actually less hungry by lunchtime than on days when you eat early? Write yes or no below. I'm curious how many of you have experienced this. Now that you understand why fasting works and why hunger isn't as scary as you thought, let's talk about practical tips to make it even easier. The first tip is to start slowly. Don't try to jump into a 16-hour fast on your first day. If your body has been used to eating all day, it hasn't had much practice burning fat. It's like asking someone who has never exercised to run a marathon. Start with a 12-hour fasting window. If you finish dinner at 7 p.m., just wait until 7 a.m. to eat breakfast. That's probably close to what you're already doing. After a week or two of that, extend it to 13 hours, then 14, then gradually work your way up to 17 hours or whatever your goal is. Give your body time to adapt and learn how to use fat for fuel efficiently. The second tip is to reduce the carbohydrates in your meals. This doesn't mean you have to go full keto, but cutting back on bread, pasta, rice, sugar, and processed carbs can make a big difference. Remember, carbohydrates cause the biggest spike in insulin. When you eat a high-carb meal before your fasting window, your body becomes very dependent on glucose. When that glucose runs out, you'll feel hungry, irritable, and low on energy. But if your last meal is higher in protein and healthy fats, your insulin won't spike as much. Your body will have an easier time transitioning to fat-burning mode. Many people find that low-carb eating and intermittent fasting work beautifully together. The third tip is to stay hydrated and get enough minerals. When insulin levels drop during fasting, your kidneys start releasing more sodium and water. This is why some people feel tired, get headaches, or experience muscle cramps when they first start fasting. It's often not hunger causing these symptoms. It's dehydration and mineral depletion. Drink plenty of water throughout your fasting window. You can add a pinch of sea salt or pink salt to your water. The key minerals to pay attention to are sodium, potassium, and magnesium. If you're getting enough fluids and minerals, you'll feel much better during your fasts. The fourth tip is to use helpful beverages. Water is always the best choice, but you can also drink plain tea, especially green tea, and black coffee during your fasting window. These drinks don't significantly raise insulin, so they won't break your fast. Green tea contains compounds called catechins that may help reduce hunger and slightly boost your metabolism. Coffee provides caffeine, which can increase energy and focus. Just be careful not to add sugar milk or cream. Those will trigger an insulin response and reduce the benefits of your fast. The fifth tip is to keep yourself busy. A lot of hunger is psychological rather than physical. When you're bored or have nothing to do, your mind wanders to food. But when you're engaged in work hobbies or activities, you barely notice that you haven't eaten. Schedule your most important tasks during your fasting window. Set up meetings at lunchtime if you're skipping lunch. Go for a walk. Read a book. Call a friend. The more occupied your mind is, the easier fasting becomes. On the flip side, try to avoid things that trigger food thoughts. Stay away from the kitchen. Don't scroll through social media where food pictures are everywhere. Don't go grocery shopping while fasting. The sixth tip is to eat only when you're truly hungry. Many people eat by the clock rather than by their body's signals. They eat breakfast because it's morning, not because they're actually hungry. When your fasting window ends, don't immediately rush to eat. Check in with your body. Are you really hungry, or are you just eating because you're allowed to now? As you become more fat adapted, you may find that you can go longer than you expected without feeling the need to eat. Trust your body. Eat when you're genuinely hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. Now let's talk about something that makes everything easier over time. It's called fat adaptation. When you first start intermittent fasting, your body isn't very efficient at burning fat. It's been relying on glucose for so long that the fat-burning machinery is rusty. During your first week or two, you might feel tired, hungry, or foggy. This is normal. It's your body learning a new skill. But after 2 to 4 weeks of consistent fasting, something changes. Your body becomes much better at accessing and burning stored fat. Your liver gets more efficient at producing ketones. Your cells become better at using those ketones for energy. This is fat adaptation. When you're fat adapted, fasting becomes almost effortless. You can go 4 to 6 hours between meals without thinking about food. Your energy stays stable throughout the day. You don't get the afternoon crash that used to send you looking for snacks. Your mind feels clear and focused. You stop craving sugar and carbs the way you used to. You wake up in the morning and you're not immediately hungry. You can wait hours before your first meal without any struggle. Some people describe this as metabolic flexibility. Your body has learned to seamlessly switch between burning glucose when food is available and burning fat when it's not. You're no longer dependent on a constant supply of food to feel good and function well. This is when fasting shifts from something you're trying to do into something that feels natural. It's no longer about willpower. It's just how you eat now. The science backs this up. In October 2024, researchers at the Salk Institute and UC San Diego published results from a study called Intermittent. They took 108 adults with metabolic syndrome and had them eat within an 8 to 10 hour window each day for 3 months. These participants were still taking their regular medications. The results showed improvements in blood sugar regulation and metabolic function. Time-restricted eating worked alongside their standard treatments. This was published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. And in June 2025, Harvard researchers published one of the largest reviews ever done on intermittent fasting. They analyzed 99 clinical trials involving more than 6,500 participants. They found that intermittent fasting was just as effective as traditional calorie-restricted diets for weight loss and improving heart health markers. Alternate day fasting showed particularly strong results for reducing belly fat and inflammation. The research is clear. This isn't a fad. It's a scientifically supported approach to eating that your body is designed to handle. Now let's talk about how to combine these tips for the best results. If you're just starting out, don't try to do everything at once. In your first week or two, focus on just 2 or 3 things. Start with a 12-hour fasting window. Drink plenty of water and maybe reduce your carbs a little bit. That's enough to get started. Once that feels comfortable, add another tip. Extend your fasting window. Add green tea in the morning. Cut more carbs from your meals. Build gradually. The goal is to create sustainable habits, not to suffer through an extreme change that you'll abandon after a week. For those who have been doing intermittent fasting for a while and feel adapted, you can experiment with longer fasts. Try hitting 18 hours instead of 16. Try one meal a day once or twice a week. Combine a strong low-carb approach with your fasting for even easier fat burning. Some people find that after months of practice, they naturally gravitate toward eating once or twice a day without any effort. Their appetite has simply adjusted to this pattern, but always stay flexible. If you have a social dinner or a special occasion, it's okay to eat earlier. One day won't ruin your progress. What matters is the overall pattern over weeks and months, not perfection every single day. Life happens. The best fasting protocol is the one you can maintain consistently over time. Listen to your body. If you're feeling unusually tired or unwell, don't push through. Shorten your fast. Eat something nutritious. You can always try again tomorrow. Before we finish, let's talk about who should be careful with fasting. Intermittent fasting is safe for most healthy adults, but it's not for everyone. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, your body needs consistent nutrition to support your baby. If you have a history of eating disorders, fasting may trigger unhealthy patterns. If you have type 1 diabetes or are on insulin, you need medical supervision because fasting affects blood sugar in significant ways. If you're underweight, fasting may not be appropriate for you. And if you're a child or teenager still growing, your body needs regular nutrition. Also pay attention to warning signs. Fasting should make you feel better, not worse. If you experience severe dizziness that doesn't go away, heart palpitations, persistent nausea, confusion, or an inability to think clearly, stop your fast and eat something. If symptoms continue, see a healthcare professional. Your body knows how to send warning signals. Respect them. So here's what we've learned today. Intermittent fasting works because it lowers insulin, allowing your body to access stored fat for fuel. Hunger isn't a constantly rising force. It comes in waves that pass within an hour or two. Your body will adapt over time, and fasting will become easier, not harder. Simple strategies like starting slowly, reducing carbs, staying hydrated, and keeping busy can make the whole process smooth and sustainable. This isn't about starving yourself. It's about giving your body the chance to work the way it was designed to work through millions of years of evolution. Fasting isn't deprivation. It's returning to a natural rhythm that modern life has interrupted. One final question for the comments. Some people say you should never fast more than 16 hours. Others point to research showing benefits at 24-36 or even 72 hours. What do you think? Is there a limit that feels right for you? I'd love to hear your perspective. If this video helped you understand intermittent fasting better, share it with someone who's been curious but hesitant to try. Sometimes understanding the why makes all the difference. Subscribe if you want to learn more about how your body really works. In the next video, we'll explore what happens when you fast even longer than 72 hours. Your body starts doing something remarkable that scientists call autophagy. You won't want to miss it. Fasting does not mean you have to suffer through complete hunger. In fact, there are certain foods you can consume while still maintaining your fasted state. Some of them can even help you burn fat more effectively. In this video, we are going to explore exactly what those foods are, and more importantly, why your body responds to them the way it does. Before we dive in, this is educational content, not medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional before starting any fasting protocol. Now you have probably heard conflicting information about what breaks a fast and what does not. Some people say anything with calories will ruin your fast. Others claim you can eat certain things and still get all the benefits. So who is right? The confusion is understandable. If you search online, you will find dozens of different opinions. One expert says black coffee is fine. Another says even coffee breaks your fast. One article recommends bone broth during fasting. The next one says protein destroys all your fasting benefits. It is overwhelming. But here is the good news. The answer lies in understanding one simple concept. And once you understand this, everything else will make sense. You will no longer need to memorize lists of approved and forbidden foods. You will understand the why behind each recommendation, and that understanding will give you the flexibility to make informed decisions based on your own goals. When you stop eating, your body goes through a remarkable transformation. Normally, your body runs on glucose, the sugar from the food you eat. Every time you have a meal, your digestive system breaks down carbohydrates into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream and gets delivered to your cells for energy. This is your body's preferred fuel source when food is readily available. But when food stops coming in, your body needs to find another fuel source. It cannot simply shut down. Your brain alone requires a constant supply of energy to function. So your body activates a backup system that has kept humans alive through famines and food shortages for thousands of years. Your body turns to your stored fat. Your liver takes that fat and converts it into molecules called ketones. These ketones become an alternative fuel source for your brain and body. In fact, ketones can provide up to 70% of your brain's energy needs during fasting. Some researchers believe the brain actually functions more efficiently on ketones than on glucose. This is the state you are trying to achieve when you fast. You want your body burning fat and producing ketones. But here is the critical part. There is one hormone that controls whether your body can access that stored fat or not. That hormone is insulin. Think of insulin as the switch that controls fat storage. When insulin levels are high, your fat cells are locked. The fat stays inside, and your body cannot use it for energy. Your body will continue burning glucose instead, even if you have plenty of stored fat available. But when insulin levels drop, those fat cells open up. Fat is released into your bloodstream and sent to the liver to be converted into ketones. This is the metabolic switch that makes fasting so powerful. So what raises insulin? Two main things: sugar and protein. When you eat sugar or carbohydrates, your insulin spikes. When you eat protein, your insulin also rises, though not as dramatically. But here is what most people do not realize. Fat has almost no effect on insulin. This is the key insight. The question is not whether something has calories. The real question is whether it raises your insulin levels enough to stop fat burning and ketone production. With this understanding, let us look at the foods that will not break your fast. The first one might surprise you. It is MCT oil. MCT stands for medium-chain triglycerides. This is a special type of fat with a shorter molecular structure than regular fats. And this shorter structure changes everything about how your body processes it. Here is what happens with most fats. When you eat butter, olive oil, or the fat in meat, it goes through a long digestive process. It travels through your stomach into your small intestine, gets broken down by bile absorbed into your lymphatic system, and eventually makes its way to your liver. This whole journey takes hours. MCT oil works completely differently. Because of its shorter molecular structure, MCT bypasses most of this process. It gets absorbed directly through the wall of your intestine and travels straight to your liver through the portal vein. No long journey, no waiting. But here is the truly remarkable part. When MCT arrives at your liver, it forces your liver to produce ketones, and it does this regardless of your insulin levels. This is what makes MCT unique among all fats. Other fats simply do not raise insulin, which is good. But MCT actively pushes your body into ketone production, which is even better. This discovery has significant implications. It means that even if you consumed some carbohydrates, adding MCT oil can still push your body toward ketone production. It is not a free pass to eat whatever you want, but it does provide a buffer. It makes your fasting state more robust and forgiving. Research has shown that consuming 10 to 20 grams of MCT oil, particularly the type called C8, can significantly raise blood ketone levels within just 2 hours. Studies have found that C8, also known as caprylic acid, is the most ketogenic form of MCT. It converts to ketones faster and more efficiently than other types. When shopping for MCT oil, look for products that are high in C8 for maximum benefit. You are essentially giving your body a direct pathway to ketosis. And because ketones provide clean, steady energy without the crashes associated with glucose, many people report improved mental clarity and sustained energy when using MCT oil during their fasting window. Now, a practical note. If you are new to MCT oil, start small. Begin with 1 teaspoon and gradually increase to 1 tablespoon over the course of a week or two. Too much MCT too quickly can cause stomach discomfort, including cramping or loose stools. Your digestive system needs time to adapt. Most people find that their tolerance increases significantly after the initial adjustment period. The next item on our list is something most of you probably already consume: black coffee and unsweetened tea. These beverages contain essentially no calories, so they do not trigger an insulin response. But the benefits go far beyond just being calorie-free. In fact, these drinks may actually enhance your fasting results. Coffee contains over 100 compounds called polyphenols, with chlorogenic acid being one of the most significant. These polyphenols have a direct effect on your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells. Think of mitochondria as tiny power plants inside every cell of your body. They are responsible for converting fuel into usable energy. When you consume coffee polyphenols, they support mitochondrial function and help your cells burn fat more efficiently. Some research suggests that chlorogenic acid can increase fat oxidation, meaning your body breaks down fat at a faster rate. This is exactly what you want during a fast. Caffeine itself also contributes. It stimulates the release of fatty acids from your fat cells, making more fat available for your body to burn. Caffeine also increases your metabolic rate slightly, meaning you burn more calories even at rest. So black coffee does not just avoid breaking your fast. It actually supports and enhances the fat-burning process that fasting initiates. Green tea offers similar benefits. It contains polyphenols called catechins, particularly one called EGCG, along with a modest amount of caffeine. Together, these compounds support fat metabolism and provide gentle, sustained energy without any insulin response. Green tea also contains L-theanine, an amino acid that promotes calm focus without the jittery feelings some people experience from coffee. The key word here is black or unsweetened. The moment you add sugar, you have added something that will spike your insulin and stop your fat burning. Even a small amount of sugar can trigger an insulin response. We will talk about what you can safely add to your coffee shortly. Now let us discuss something that might seem counterintuitive: soluble fiber. Foods like psyllium husk and basil seeds are almost pure fiber. And here is the fascinating thing about fiber: your body cannot digest it. You do not have the enzymes to break it down and absorb the calories. So even though fiber technically contains calories on a food label, those calories are not available to your body. They pass through your digestive system without being absorbed. This is fundamentally different from how other nutrients work. When you eat protein, fat, or carbohydrates, your body breaks them down and absorbs the energy. With fiber, especially soluble fiber, that absorption simply does not happen. But there is another layer to this story that makes fiber truly powerful during fasting. While you cannot digest fiber, the trillions of bacteria living in your gut can. These beneficial bacteria use soluble fiber as their food source. Your gut contains an entire ecosystem of microorganisms, often called the gut microbiome. These bacteria play crucial roles in your health, from supporting your immune system to influencing your mood. And when they eat fiber, something remarkable happens. Your gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids and trigger the release of hormones called GLP-1 and PYY. These hormones travel to your brain and send a powerful message. They tell your brain that you are full, that your needs are being met, that you do not need to search for food. This is a direct communication pathway between your gut and your brain, sometimes called the gut-brain axis. This is why soluble fiber can dramatically reduce hunger during a fast. Even though you are not actually eating anything your body can use for energy. You are feeding your gut bacteria, and in return, they are turning off your hunger signals. It is a biological partnership that has evolved over millions of years. There is a fascinating study that demonstrates this perfectly. Researchers in China conducted an experiment where participants underwent extended fasting for 7 to 14 days. One group received only water. The other group received water plus approximately 100 calories per day of soluble fiber, the kind of fiber that humans cannot absorb, but gut bacteria can consume. The results were striking. The group with fiber reported manageable hunger sensations throughout the entire fasting period. They were able to complete 7 days, and some even extended to 12 or 13 days of fasting. The water-only group experienced much more intense hunger. The researchers concluded that by feeding the gut bacteria, participants could significantly reduce the suffering typically associated with extended fasting. This gives you a powerful tool. If you struggle with hunger during your fasting window, a teaspoon of psyllium, husk mixed in water, can help. You are not breaking your fast. You are simply quieting your hunger by communicating with your gut bacteria. Now let us address the question many of you are asking. What about adding something to your coffee? Here is where heavy cream comes in. Heavy cream is almost entirely fat. It contains virtually no sugar and very little protein. Because of this composition, it does not trigger a significant insulin response. A tablespoon of heavy cream in your coffee will not kick you out of ketosis. There is one small consideration. The fat in heavy cream can bind to some of the polyphenols in your coffee, making them slightly less available to your body. So you might lose a small portion of those polyphenol benefits. But the fast itself remains intact. The important thing is portion control. 1 tablespoon of heavy cream contains about 50 calories. That is generally acceptable. But if you start pouring 3 or 4 tablespoons, you are no longer fasting. You are drinking a liquid breakfast. Keep it to a small amount and you will be fine. Now what about nuts? This is where we have some interesting science to discuss. You might think nuts would break a fast because they contain protein and some carbohydrates. But research suggests the situation is more nuanced. In 2021, Dr. Walter Longo, the director of the Longevity Institute at the University of Southern California, conducted a randomized controlled study with 105 adults. He wanted to answer a specific question. Can you eat something during a fast without breaking the fasted state? His team tested a nutrition bar made primarily from nuts, including almonds, macadamia nuts, and pecans. Participants consumed this bar during a 15-hour overnight fast. The researchers then compared their ketone levels to a group that only drank water. The results were published in the journal Nutrients. The group that ate the nut-based bar maintained ketone production at levels similar to the water-only group. They did not break their fast. At the same time, they reported less hunger and found fasting easier to sustain. The explanation lies in the composition of certain nuts. Macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, and pecans have very high fat content and relatively low protein. A small handful of these nuts may not trigger enough of an insulin response to stop ketone production. However, there is an important warning here. You must choose plain raw or simply roasted nuts. The moment you see flavored nuts like sea salt and pepper chili lime or honey roasted, you need to assume they contain hidden sugars. Those sugars will spike your insulin and break your fast. Stick to plain nuts. Keep the portion small, about a handful, and choose varieties that are highest in fat and lowest in protein. Now we need to address the controversial items: bone broth and collagen. You have probably seen conflicting information about these. Some experts say they are fine. Others say they break your fast. Who is right? Here is the honest answer. Both contain protein, and protein does raise insulin. So technically they do have an effect on your fasted state. But the full picture is more nuanced. The degree of insulin response depends on the amount of protein consumed. A small amount of protein, generally under 50 calories or about 10 to 15 grams, may not be enough to completely shut down fat burning and ketone production. So here is how to think about it. If your primary goal is fat loss, a small serving of bone broth or a scoop of collagen in your coffee is probably acceptable. You might experience a slight reduction in the depth of your fast, but you will still be burning fat. However, if your primary goal is maximizing autophagy, the cellular cleaning and recycling process that happens during fasting, then protein of any kind is best avoided. Autophagy is more sensitive to protein intake than ketone production is. There is one additional benefit to bone broth worth mentioning. Quality bone broth contains electrolytes including sodium, potassium, and magnesium. During extended fasting, your body can lose these minerals. Bone broth can help replenish them and prevent symptoms like dizziness, fatigue, or muscle cramps that sometimes occur during longer fasts. Before we wrap up, let me quickly mention a few things that seem safe but actually are not. Chewing gum, even sugar-free varieties, can be problematic. The act of chewing sends signals to your brain that food is coming. This can activate digestive processes and potentially affect your fasted state. Many supplements and powders marketed for fasting contain hidden sugars or protein. Always read the ingredient label. Look for anything ending in "oze", like dextrose or maltose. Check for protein isolates or amino acids. These will break your fast. Flavored beverages that claim to be 0 calorie sometimes contain ingredients that can trigger an insulin response. Plain water, black coffee, and unsweetened tea remain your safest options. Now let me be clear about something important. Not everyone should practice extended fasting. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, if you have a history of eating disorders, if you have diabetes, and use insulin, if you have kidney disease, or if you are underweight, please consult with your doctor before attempting any fasting protocol. And for anyone, if you experience severe dizziness that does not resolve with water, heart palpitations, confusion, or persistent nausea, end your fast immediately and seek medical advice. So let us bring this all together. The goal of fasting is not 0 calories. The goal is maintaining ketone production and fat burning. When you understand this, you realize that certain foods and beverages can actually support your fast rather than break it. MCT oil forces your liver to produce ketones even when other conditions are not perfect. Black coffee and tea provide polyphenols that support your mitochondria and enhance fat burning. Soluble fiber feeds your gut bacteria, which in turn sends signals to your brain that reduce hunger. Heavy cream in small amounts adds fat without triggering insulin. Plain nuts, particularly high-fat varieties, may not break ketosis according to recent research. And even bone broth or collagen, while not completely neutral, can be acceptable depending on your specific fasting goals. The key is understanding the science behind each of these. When you know why something works, you can make informed decisions that fit your individual situation and goals. Now I want to hear from you. What surprised you most in this video? Was it that MCT oil can force ketone production regardless of insulin levels? Or that soluble fiber can reduce hunger by feeding your gut bacteria? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who struggles with hunger during fasting. This information might make their fasting journey much easier. If you want to see what happens inside your body when you fast for 24 hours, that video is coming up next. The biological changes that occur are truly remarkable. I will see you there. You just finished a fast, maybe 16 hours, maybe 24, maybe even longer. Your body has been through some incredible changes. But here's what most people don't realize. That first meal after fasting can either lock in all those benefits you worked so hard for, or it can undo them completely. Think about it. You've given your digestive system a break. You've allowed your body to tap into fat stores for energy. You've triggered cellular cleanup processes that only happen when you're not eating. And now with one meal, you get to decide what happens next. This is educational content, not medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before starting any fasting protocol. Today, we're going to break down exactly what to eat when you break your fast, why certain foods work better than others, and how to maximize every benefit you've earned. Whether you're doing daily intermittent fasting or longer extended fasts, by the end of this video, you'll have a clear framework you can use every single time. So why does it matter what you eat after fasting? To understand this, we need to look at what's actually happening inside your body during a fast. When you stop eating, your body doesn't just sit there waiting for food. It makes a series of biological adjustments. First, insulin, the hormone that controls blood sugar, drops to its lowest levels. This is significant because low insulin is what allows your body to access and burn stored fat for energy. As long as insulin stays low, you're in fat-burning mode. At the same time, your digestive system starts to slow down. When there's no food coming in, your body reduces the production of digestive enzymes. Why waste energy making enzymes for food that isn't there? This is efficient, but it also means that when you do eat again, your system needs time to ramp back up. Here's something fascinating. The lining of your gut, the layer of cells that separates the inside of your intestines from the rest of your body, regenerates roughly every 3 days. During fasting, this regeneration can happen more efficiently because your gut isn't busy processing food. You're essentially giving your intestinal lining a chance to repair and renew itself. Your gut bacteria also shift during fasting. Some species decrease, others increase, and the whole ecosystem enters a state where it can be reshaped. This is actually an opportunity because the foods you eat when you break your fast can influence which bacteria thrive going forward. Now, all of this explains why eating the wrong foods after fasting can cause problems. If you break your fast with a large meal of processed carbohydrates, your insulin spikes dramatically. Your digestive system, which has been running on low power, suddenly gets overwhelmed. You might feel bloated, nauseous, or experience a crash in energy shortly after eating. Some people even feel worse after breaking their fast than they did while fasting. But it doesn't have to be this way. With the right approach, breaking your fast can feel smooth, energizing, and actually extend some of the benefits you gained during your fast. Before we get into the specific foods, let's talk about an important distinction: the difference between shorter and longer fasts. This matters because the approach you take should match how long you've been fasting. For shorter fasts, we're talking about 16 to 24 hours. This is what most people do with daily intermittent fasting. At this stage, your body still has some stored glycogen and your digestive enzymes haven't dropped dramatically. You have more flexibility here. You still want to be mindful of what you eat, but you don't need an elaborate refeeding protocol. For medium-length fasts, around 36 to 48 hours, things change. By this point, your glycogen stores are depleted. You're fully relying on fat for fuel, and your digestive capacity has noticeably decreased. You need to be more careful and follow a clearer framework. For longer fasts, anything beyond 72 hours or 3 days, caution becomes essential. Your digestive system has significantly downregulated. Autophagy, the cellular cleanup process, is in full swing, and there's a real risk of something called refeeding syndrome if you eat too much too quickly. This is when electrolytes like phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium shift rapidly into cells, causing dangerous imbalances. For fasts, this long medical supervision is recommended, and how you break your fast is not optional, it's critical. The good news is that the basic principles remain the same across all fasting durations. You start gentle, you progress slowly, and you give your body time to adjust. The main difference is how strict you need to be and how much time you should take between stages. Let's get into the framework. We'll go through 5 steps, and I'll explain not just what to eat, but why each step matters. Step 1 is to start with healthy fats. This might seem counterintuitive. You've been fasting, you're hungry, and the first thing I'm telling you to eat is fat. But there's solid science behind this. When you eat carbohydrates, insulin rises quickly to move sugar out of your blood and into cells. When you eat protein, insulin also rises, though not as much. But when you eat pure fat, insulin barely moves at all. This means you can get energy, feel satisfied, and still maintain many of the metabolic benefits of your fast. Good options here include MCT oil, which is rapidly absorbed and converted to energy. Start with just 1 or 2 teaspoons. You can also use butter or ghee, which work well in tea or coffee. Olive oil is another excellent choice. Avocado is slightly more substantial but still gentle on your system. And nut butters like almond or macadamia can work, though they contain some protein. The key is to start small. You're not trying to fill yourself up. You're easing your body back into processing food. After having some healthy fat, wait about 30 to 60 minutes before moving to the next step. This gives your system time to respond without being overwhelmed. There's another benefit to starting with fat. It helps prevent what's called rebound hunger. When you've been fasting for a while and you break your fast with carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, then falls, and suddenly you're ravenously hungry. You end up eating far more than you intended. Starting with fat provides satiety without the blood sugar roller coaster, making it much easier to eat mindfully. Step 2 is to heal your gut with bone broth. This is where we start to nourish the new gut lining that's been forming during your fast. Bone broth is rich in specific amino acids that your intestinal cells need. Glycine helps reduce inflammation and supports the production of stomach acid for better digestion. Glutamine is particularly important because it's the primary fuel source for the cells that line your small intestine. About 30% of all the glutamine in your body is used just by your gut. Proline supports tissue repair, and collagen from the bones breaks down into gelatin during cooking, which forms a soothing protective layer on your intestinal wall. This isn't just folk medicine. Research from Mayo Clinic published in 2025 confirmed that the amino acids in bone broth actively support intestinal barrier function and help reduce inflammation. What our grandparents knew intuitively, science is now validating. If you're making bone broth at home, simmer beef or chicken bones for at least 12 to 24 hours to extract the maximum nutrients. If you're buying pre-made broth, look for high-quality options with visible gelatin that solidifies when cold. For vegetarians, you can use a well-made vegetable broth, ideally with seaweed, like kombu for minerals. It won't have the same amino acid profile as bone broth, but it's still gentle on your system and provides hydration and electrolytes. Have about 1 cup of warm bone broth, sipping it slowly. You can add a pinch of sea salt for additional electrolytes. Then wait 1 to 2 hours before the next step. One thing to note, bone broth does contain some protein, which means it will start to reduce autophagy. If extending autophagy is a priority for you, you might skip this step and move directly from healthy fats to vegetables. But for most people, the gut healing benefits of bone broth make it worth including. Step 3 is to seed your microbiome with fermented foods. During your fast, your gut bacteria have been through their own kind of reset. Some species decreased, others increased, and the overall ecosystem is primed for change. Now is your opportunity to introduce beneficial bacteria. Fermented foods contain live probiotics, beneficial bacteria that can take up residence in your gut and support your health in numerous ways. These bacteria help with digestion, produce vitamins, support your immune system, and even manufacture neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine that affect your mood. Good options include plain yogurt with live active cultures. Make sure it's unsweetened, as added sugar would spike your insulin. Sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage, is excellent and widely available. Kimchi, the Korean fermented vegetable dish, offers similar benefits with different flavor profiles. Kefir is a fermented milk drink with even more diverse bacterial strains than yogurt. And kombucha fermented tea can work if you choose varieties low in sugar. You don't need to eat a lot. 2 to 3 tablespoons of sauerkraut or a small serving of yogurt is enough. Remember, you're seeding your gut, not trying to fill it. The goal is to introduce these beneficial bacteria so they can establish themselves. One important detail, make sure the fermented foods you choose are unpasteurized. Pasteurization kills bacteria, including the beneficial ones you're trying to introduce. Look for products in the refrigerated section and check labels for terms like live cultures or raw. Step 4 is to feed your bacteria with fiber from vegetables. You've introduced beneficial bacteria. Now you need to give them something to eat. Your gut bacteria feed on fiber, specifically the types of fiber that your own digestive system can't break down. When bacteria ferment this fiber, they produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. These are incredibly important for your health. Short-chain fatty acids nourish the cells lining your colon, reduce inflammation throughout your body, help regulate your immune system, and even influence how your body stores fat. The best approach here is lightly steamed vegetables. Steaming softens the fiber, making it easier to digest, while your enzyme production is still ramping up. Raw vegetables can be harder on your system and may cause bloating or discomfort. Good choices include broccoli, carrots, zucchini, green beans, and leafy greens like spinach or kale. These provide a variety of fibers that feed different beneficial bacteria species. Start with about half a cup to 1 cup of vegetables. Avoid raw cruciferous vegetables like raw broccoli or cauliflower at this stage. These can cause significant gas and bloating even when you haven't been fasting. Cooked versions are much gentler. You can add a drizzle of olive oil and a pinch of salt to your vegetables. Take your time eating and chew thoroughly. Digestion starts in your mouth, and chewing well gives your system a head start on breaking down the food. Step 5 is to rebuild with protein. This is the final step, and it's where you signal your body to shift from cleanup mode to building mode. Protein activates something called the mTOR pathway. You might have heard that mTOR activation is bad because it stops autophagy. But here's the complete picture. Autophagy is the process where your body cleans up damaged cells and proteins. It's wonderful during fasting, but you can't stay in cleanup mode forever. At some point, your body needs to repair tissues, build muscle, and produce enzymes. That requires protein and it requires mTOR activation. The key is timing. By saving protein for last, you've already maximized your autophagy benefits during the fast and the early stages of refeeding. Now introducing protein at the right time allows your body to use those amino acids for repair and growth. Good protein sources include eggs, which are easy to digest and contain complete protein with all essential amino acids. Fish is another excellent choice, gentle on digestion and rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Chicken provides lean protein without being too heavy. Beef or lamb are more nutrient-dense, but require more digestive effort, so consider these once your system is fully back online. For vegetarians and vegans, well-cooked lentils, tofu or tempeh can work. Make sure legumes are thoroughly cooked to improve digestibility. Start with a moderate portion around 100 to 150 grams of protein. Cook it thoroughly, avoid raw preparations, and eat slowly. The timing for introducing protein depends on how long you fasted. For a 16 to 24-hour fast, you can have protein within 1 to 2 hours of starting to eat. For a 36 to 48-hour fast, wait 2 to 3 hours after beginning with fats and broth. For fasts longer than 72 hours, wait at least 4 to 6 hours and start with smaller protein portions. Now, let's talk about what to avoid when breaking your fast. These foods can undo your progress or make you feel terrible. First, avoid sugar and refined carbohydrates. This includes white bread pastries, candy soda, and most processed snacks. These cause rapid insulin spikes, which can lead to reactive hypoglycemia, where your blood sugar crashes and you feel weak, shaky, and extremely hungry. This is the opposite of what you want. Second, avoid fried and heavily processed foods. Your digestive enzymes are still catching up, and heavy, greasy foods are difficult to process. French fries, fried chicken, and fast food in general will likely leave you feeling bloated and uncomfortable. Third, be cautious with dairy. Many people have reduced lactose digestion capacity after fasting. Plain yogurt and kefir are usually fine because fermentation breaks down most of the lactose. But a glass of milk or ice cream might cause digestive distress. Fourth, avoid raw vegetables and tough salads. As I mentioned earlier, raw vegetables require more enzymatic activity to digest. Your system isn't ready for a big raw salad right after fasting. Fifth, avoid alcohol. When your stomach is empty and your liver has been in fasting mode, alcohol absorbs much faster than usual. You'll feel the effects more intensely and risk getting intoxicated quickly. Wait until you've eaten a proper meal before having any alcohol. The underlying principle with all of these is simple. Your digestive system has been resting. Treat it gently as it wakes back up. Let me give you a practical timeline to pull this all together. For a standard 16 to 18-hour daily fast, you have flexibility. You might start with some avocado or a bulletproof coffee with MCT oil, then move to a normal meal within an hour or two. The framework still applies, but you can move through it faster. For a 24-hour fast, take a bit more time. Start with healthy fats, wait 30 to 60 minutes, then have some bone broth or fermented foods. Wait another hour, then have vegetables and protein together in a proper meal. For a 36 to 48-hour fast, follow the full framework more carefully. Healthy fats first, then bone broth after an hour fermented foods, and vegetables after another hour or two, and protein only after 3 to 4 hours total. For anything beyond 72 hours, extend each stage even further and consider medical guidance. Your first day of eating might include only liquids and very light foods with solid protein not coming until day 2. Listen to your body throughout this process. If something doesn't feel right, slow down. There's no rush. Here's the big picture. Fasting is about cleaning, healing, and resetting. Breaking your fast correctly is about nourishing, building, and sealing in those benefits. Both phases are equally important. You wouldn't deep clean your house and then immediately track mud through it. The same logic applies to your body. The foods you choose when you break your fast aren't just filling your stomach. They're determining which gut bacteria will thrive, how quickly your digestive system recovers, and whether you maintain the metabolic advantages you gained during your fast. Remember the framework: healthy fats first for stable energy without insulin spikes. Bone broth to heal and protect your gut lining. Fermented foods to introduce beneficial bacteria. Fiber from vegetables to feed those bacteria. And finally, protein to shift into building and repair mode. Start gentle progress slowly and give your body the respect it deserves after the work it's done during your fast. What do you usually eat when you break your fast? I'm curious to hear your experiences. Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this video helped you understand the science behind refeeding, share it with someone who's practicing intermittent fasting. It might change how they approach their next meal. If you want to learn more about what happens inside your body during fasting and how to optimize your health, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more science-backed content coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.